Hello guys and welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Once again I'm Greg and this is the Starting 11 show, which means a bit of a discussion about injuries from Carlo Ancelotti's latest press conference, as well as a discussion of who I think Ancelotti might line up with this time for our midweek EFL quarter-final cup fixture against Manchester United. Now I always find these a bit more interesting with cup games. You've got the balancing act. On one side you need to rest players, especially in a season like this, especially when the fixtures are starting to pile up, and that also gives the opportunity for some young players or some fringe players to show what they can do. Olsen, Bernard and Nkunku, Gordon, these are all players who maybe think they might deserve time, or we think might deserve time in the first team, and this is an opportunity for them to prove themselves. But on the other side of this balancing act, you've got the fact that we are desperate for silverware. We really want to make as much of this as possible. 2 games and we're it's really in reach. So we also know that Carlo Ancelotti is coming down more on this side. He said in his press conference, we've never won this before, and he's going to put out his strongest team to make sure we can get as close to that trophy as possible. And that's a real statement of intent, and will direct which way I go with this, some of the selections I make. But that doesn't stop us from looking position by position, who might change, who could need a rest, and who do we want to see come through maybe that's been on the bench for a while and deserves their come up. So that being said, let's get into the team. Just before I do, I will fill you in on the injury news. James is not back, so there's not really any changes to be made. The only news in terms of people who are out at the moment is Luca Dean. No injury news, but hopefully a new contract signed soon, so that's good. And also to confirm, there is no setback to Gabamin. All just Twitter murmurs and rumours, nothing true there, as Ancelotti has said. So, getting into the team, this is a good place to start the discussion actually. In goal, Jordan Pickford obviously is our first team keeper, so if Ancelotti is being literal when he says our strongest team, that should mean Pickford, but I kind of see him as viewing Olsen and Pickford in very much a similar place, but it's just seniority maybe that keeps Pickford in the team. I don't mean by age, I just mean in the fact that he's been in this Everton team for longer, for the fact that he's England's number 1, so has the sort of reputation, and he's more than happy to see Olsen step in, not even when he's needed to, but just to give Pickford a break, just to see what we could be doing and if we could be doing it better. So I think we might see Olsen come in here and freshen things up. I know it's a bit stop, start, chop and change between the two at the moment, especially with Pickford being rested, and now for Olsen to be coming in after one more game. But I think if we want to see what Olsen can really do, we need to give him a bit more game time, and this is the perfect opportunity to. I don't see, I personally don't feel any, is it the right time to be playing him? Because as I said, I see him, as I think Carlo Ancelotti sees him, on that sort of level with Pickford. So I think Olsen might start in goal, and at right back is where I think another change could be made. I see Coleman obviously came back, got a few minutes against Arsenal, but we've been sticking with that back line who have been fantastic, that really solid back line who kept 2 clean sheets before Arsenal, and still performed very well defensively against Arsenal. But that being said, I think for some of those players this might be where fitness does play a part in team selection. I think maybe necessarily not all the players need it, but if there's one player who I'm thinking in this back line has been a bit injury prone in the past, maybe not the fittest player in the world, I'm thinking maybe Yerry Mina could take this as a chance to have a break, and we might see him drop. Mason Holgate move into being a centre back, and Seamus Coleman come at right back. I think being a captain and having a captain is almost more important in cup games. I can't explain why I think that, but it's sort of a rallying siege mentality, especially for a club like us who hasn't won that for a while. I think it's important to have leadership on the pitch and someone to look to push things forward, and I think Seamus Coleman's the person who fits that profile best for us. I know he hasn't seen any silverware with the club himself, which is, makes it a bit academic really. But I think it's important that he's there, and again to give Yerry Mina a rest. So Seamus Coleman at right back. Of course, Michael Keane will be partnering Mason Holgate as centre backs. Apologies. a combination we sort of ended last season with. It was very strong at the end of last season. Be nice to see them come back together. But Yerry Mina has stepped up again. I don't want this to look like I'm saying, oh, now that Seamus Coleman's back, we can get Yerry Mina out the team. Because I think against Arsenal, probably one of the best performances I've seen from him. Similarly against Leicester. Leicester, I was really impressed. I think he stepped up in a big way. But that being said, I think I would opt for returning to the back four that we've seen against Leicester, Chelsea, Arsenal come the weekend, unless Seamus Coleman really impresses. Perhaps add something attacking that we didn't have before coming from those flanks. So that'd be interesting to see. But for now, I reckon Mason Holgate and Michael Keane as the centre-backs. And then, of course, Ben Godfrey staying out on the left. He's been immense, absolutely immense. That crunching tackle, incredible, against Danny Ceballos, I think it was in the end, who deserved a little something after scraping his boots down the back of Yerry Mina's calf. It's the kind of challenge that would have made Goodison erupt, if people were there in person. The kind of challenge you just love to see, because it's not dangerous because it's so well timed. But, it just shows, passion, real passion. Passion, speed as well. The legs on the kid are incredible. He's not just got stamina, but he's just got unbelievable speed. You could see him just channeling it down that left. Fantastic, because where he might not have the ability that Luca Dean has to whip a ball in, he can certainly get it to the byline in no time at all. So that's the back line. And then moving into the midfield, it's Abdoulaye Doucouré. Of course, it's Abdoulaye Doucouré. If we're going with the strongest team, it has to be. But who sits next to him? Controversially, I don't think Tom Davies played too badly. Of course, he gave away the penalty. The only thing you can really put that down to is naivety. Maybe he doesn't make that mistake if he's played a run of games. Maybe I'm coming up with excuses, but dusting off the cobwebs, it was a silly mistake. He was completely unaware that the player was coming up to his behind him. So I think he could be in with a shout for starting again, but I reckon we might. Oh, I don't know. As you can tell, I haven't decided this before. It's a gut instinct thing here. And I think I might stick with Tom Davies there, because the alternative maybe is to bring Andre Gomez in. And I could consider doing that in a cup, but does it provide us enough in terms of defence in that midfield against a team like Man United, who are going to break, and they're going to break quick as well? Another reason why I think Mason Holgate over Yerry Mina at centre-back might be a smart decision as well there. But I'm going to go with Doucouré and Tom Davies again. And perhaps the space for Andre Gomez is then formed at number 10 to replace Gylfi Sigurdsson, who I think has been in great form. I'd throw him back in at the weekend against Sheffield United. But just in the vein of resting players and keeping a strong team, I think Andre Gomez might step into that number 10 role here. We'll have to see. Obviously, it could also be a Iwobi come into the middle. Bernard could get a shout. I know Gordon's played there a bit. We've got a few players who could take that mantle. But I think Andre Gomez is probably the highest up the pecking order in terms of Carlo Ancelotti's brain and his mind at the moment. And it was a position he held, that number 10, for our successful run at the beginning of the season as well. So we know he can play it, and the team can play well when he's there. So maybe just in the vein of giving Sigurdsson a bit of a rest. He's probably not used to running as much as he's run in the last three games across his whole Everton career. So give him a pat on the back for playing so well the last 3 games, for contributing so well, and say, relax, rest, do it again at the weekend, but throw Andre Gomez in there for now. Front line really picks itself, doesn't it? Iwobi out on the right, obviously with James not back. We're kind of limited there, unless you put Gordon out there, or throw Richarlison out there and Bernard out on the left. But I can only go on what Ancelotti said, and that was our strongest team, which I think is Iwobi out on the right, and I'm seeing good things from him. Calvert-Lewin up front, of course it is. The option on the bench is Cenk Tosun. Can I see him starting against Manchester United in the Cup quarterfinals? No, I can't. Got to be Calvert-Lewin. And then out on the left here is possibly the conversation I'd listen to the most. Richarlison works so hard for us. I imagine he must be knackered. But that's a conversation Ancelotti has with him. That's not really for me to speculate about. If he says to Ancelotti, I've been running, getting back, doing everything, I'm knackered, don't start me, then I think maybe Gordon is ahead of Bernard in the pecking order at the moment, especially in cup games. You want to see young players. I think that's the incentive. So Gordon, it'd be great to see him. But if Richarlison and Ancelotti have that conversation, and Richarlison says, "Boss, I'm fine. I'm feeling a-okay. Not tired at all." That said, he's got a bit of his hands all wrapped up in a cast. Maybe he just needs a bit of time to let his body just catch up. It's been such a hectic few games for him. But if he's fit and he says he's fit, then start him. So after a little bit of umming and ahhing and toing and froing, I think that's the team that I'm gonna say. This is what I think Ancelotti will go with. Robin Olsen in goal. A back line of Seamus Coleman, Michael Keane, Mason Holgate and Ben Godfrey. Not Ben Gibson, Ben Godfrey. A midfield of Abdoulaye Doucouré and Tom Davies. And Andre Gomes in front of them. Now I've said it again, it doesn't sound like the best midfield. But I'd be interested to know in the comments what you think might be stronger. Might be stronger than that. Could we drop Sigurdsson deep? I don't know. I'm struggling to work out a midfield without Alan in it where we win those midfield battles against Man United. Let me know if you guys have got any thoughts on that. Maybe Mason Holgate could move up. Mina stays in. Coleman still comes in. That's for you guys to speculate. And the front line, of course, is Iwobi, Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. What do you guys think? Do you think Ancelotti's making the right choice by throwing everything at this and throwing our strongest team? Would you like to see some of the younger guys come through or some of the peripheral players? If so, who? Bernard, Gordon, Nkunku. Nkunku, I didn't even mention Nkunku. Do you think he deserves a shot? And what I've suggested with Coleman on the right should be replaced with Nkunku on the left. So Godfrey comes in and takes Mina's spot, and Nkunku plays out left. That could be an idea. So who would you like to see come in? Would you like to see any changes? Do you think Ancelotti's made the right decision? And what would your team be? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I will see you next week.